So starting with your templates, you will need to assemble them. They are labeled based on where they're going to go. The one with the star that says top corner is going to go up on the top left. Top middle goes here. Top right. And then finally the last one here goes on the lower left side. You can see the squares on each corner is always the bottom right corner. Go ahead and tape those together. If you need to overlap them a little bit, you can, but I'm just going to butt them side to side. We will be keeping this top slice up here, so I'm only going to tape those edges just to kind of conserve my tape here. You can just cut along that line right here. So then these parts here, you can just throw the section away. Your last template then is your neck opening template, and then the next neck closure tab. Go ahead and cut those out as well. There, now you have your templates. Next we're ready to start with the fabric. All right, so next you're going to take one of your fabric pieces. We're using this whole width. This is the way it comes folded off the bolts in the store. I'm going to go ahead and cut off my selvage ends. Just to save time, I'm going to do them together. I have it folded. I'm going to fold it again this way. And then I'll just take my ruler and my rotary cutter and just cut off that selvage end. So now I have no selvage ends. What we're going to do next then is you want to measure this and do the lining piece the exact same size. But you can see here my folded edge is nearest to me. This is the fold down here, okay? And then I have my raw edges up here where I just cut the selvage at. You're going to take your template that we just assembled here, and this is going to go in this top corner right here. And this here, this curved line, is where we are going to then cut our fabric right along here. So we'll trace that here now. If you have a fabric marking pen, that would be ideal. Now I do have a directional print fabric. This is the bottom of the cape. Up here is going to be the head. So I have my little guys facing, this is the top, this is the bottom. So go ahead and mark your curve. I'm using a Sharpie pen just so you can see it a little bit easier. So then we can go ahead and cut along that line. All right, and then now your neck opening template is going to go down here at this corner right here, so opposite of that slice. You just line up that 90-degree angle with the 90-degree angle of your fabric. And you can then trace. All right, so next, just to remind you, I have my folded edge down here. This is the end that opens down on this end here. Now we're going to make this angle here. So you just take your ruler. I'm just going to use my rotary mat here. I'm going to line up this corner here against an inch edge. And then you're going to measure 4 inches from this corner right here. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Can make a little mark. And then from this top corner here, you're going to measure 5 inches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, then you just take your rotary cutter and you line up your ruler from both of those markings, 4 inches on this end, 5 inches over on that end, and you just cut that strip off like that. So now you can see our cape is starting to take form. If you want to make more of a girly cape, you can make this corner here a little bit more curved if you wanted to, as sharp as the curve or as wide as the curve as you'd like. Sometimes I've even had people use their neck opening template and just place that along there to give it a nice little curve at that section right there. Now go ahead and repeat these exact same steps for your other lining piece of fabric or main color, whatever you haven't done already. So this is kind of what we're looking at right now. All right, so now I have my lining piece. I just already cut off the selvages off camera here, but you go ahead and do the exact same process. I'm now going to just double check to make sure I am at the same length and width as my original here. I'm going to line up my folded edge here, come across, make sure the length is the same, and that looks good. This way, looks like it lined it up in my favor here today, just perfect. So if you want to use your templates and cut along here, you can, or if you'd prefer, you can just kind of use this here as your template just to make sure that it is indeed the exact same size. So now I have my lining and my main body cape. They're still folded in half. When we unfold them and sew them together, we're going to go like that. But first we're going to make our neck closure tabs using scrap from what you cut away. You just take this here. We need one of each. If you wanted both the same, that would be fine too. I'm going to do one of each just so that it kind of matches a little bit better. All right, so you just go ahead. I'm going to stack mine right side spacing here. Take this here and then trace. Actually, you do need 2 of these each. So I'm going to go ahead and make my second set here. I don't know what I was thinking earlier. So yeah, you need 2 lining pieces, 2 main color pieces, and then that will be 1 for each side when you do that neck closure. All right, so we'll go ahead and we'll sew these first. So what you're going to do is you're going to stack them together, right sides facing, and then go ahead and you're going to sew around these edges here, up here, around this curve, straight down here. Leave this section here. Don't sew that. We're going to turn the right sides out through that opening. So go ahead and sew around this edge right here. All right, so I sewed that together with a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Go ahead around the curves. You can just make little snips in the fabric. That way when you turn these right side out, it lays nice and smooth. Sometimes without doing this, it can be a little bit wonky around any curved portions. All right, once you have those snipped, you can turn it right side out. What I like to do is I like to top stitch that perimeter around there just to make sure it always stays that nice and flat. You wouldn't have to do this, but it's just kind of a personal preference of mine. So then you just pin it, the edges of the seam at the edge of the fabric, and then go ahead and you can top stitch around this perimeter here on both of these. All right, so now we're ready to get this pinned together so that we can sew the project. I'm going to take my exterior print and I'm going to have the neck opening up here at the top. Then I'm going to take my neck closure tabs and I'm going to face those right sides facing. So you can see these obviously are both right sides, but this is my lining and this is my exterior print. My exterior print is going to face my exterior print. That way when it's sewn together, it will then match and won't be opposite. So raw edges of the tab meet the raw edge of this 4-inch section here. I'm just going to pin that in place just to hold it and make sure it's nice and straight. And then once it's sewn and right side out, it'll look like this. Now if you wanted that to be an accent and have that bright blue be coming out like that instead when you're finished, then you would flip it around and you would have it like this on this side. But when I finish my project, I want it to look matching, so that's why I'm having it now right sides facing here. So I'm just centering it against that 4-inch section here, pinning it in place with the raw edges matching. And then next you will take your lining piece or your other piece and you're going to put that right sides facing right over here. And then you're going to pin around this whole perimeter. So you can see then this neck closure tab will be sandwiched in between these layers right here. So next we'll just pin around this whole perimeter. All right, now we're ready to sew around this whole perimeter. You will want to leave a small section. I usually pick one of the straight ends to leave unsewn so we can flip our project right side out through that opening. So go ahead and stitch that perimeter now. All right, so I have that sewn around the edges. I left this opening here. So now go ahead and turn your project right side out through that opening. Then we're going to get ready to top stitch this perimeter. Same way we did with those neck closure tabs, is you just get the edges of that seam on the edge and then go ahead and pin around the perimeter of that, making sure the corners of each pivot there is nice and pointy. If you need to use a little crochet hook or something to get those pointed out nicely, you certainly can. Sometimes I just take a pin and pull it out this way too. That works, so that it looks pointed if you have those corners. If you have a girly one, you may have rounded those and you may not have that. And then when you get to the section of that opening where you turn the project right side through, right here, you can just tuck your raw edges inwards like that and then line them up so that they lay nice and even with each other, and then pin those. And then when you do your top stitching, that will encase that right there, so you won't have to deal with that later. So go ahead and work your way around the whole perimeter. All right, so now I have the whole perimeter of this pinned and ready to top stitch. So now we'll go ahead and do just that, top stitch around the entire perimeter all the way around. So I went ahead and I top stitched that whole edge of the cape, and now you're ready to put on your either snaps or your Velcro, however, button, whatever you want to do here for these neck closure tabs. I prefer to kind of have mine almost like at a V right here, but you can place that however you want. I think I'm gonna go ahead and use snaps, and then you'll be all finished. That's what it should look like. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to subscribe to my station.